10:30, period.
That's what I said.
Okay, so let's write that down. That seems to be a given that everybody's agreeing with, is that no field lights can be on after 10:30. Fair enough? Okay? And if that addresses the problem, and I don't know what the answer to this question is, I'm asking it seriously, do you care if employees are there 24 hours a day?
That's what I know.
Doing what functions?
I don't know, many people might go to work and just hang out, I guess.
No,
I mean, I'm serious, John, what else would they be doing there, other than work? I mean,
What you're
can't-
saying is
Doing
making
what
noise for
functions?
cleaning.
Are they out mowing the lawn at
No,
3 o'clock in the
no.
morning? Okay, then we have to put a limitation on
Okay,
it.
is that the right, okay?
We have to put a limitation on it, is what Nancy is saying, we need to be specific. So we don't want them there 24 hours a day.
No. If that's not going along. I mean, if they're in the building and not causing a nuisance,
Then I would
they're
do
doing
it.
dishes in there, I guess, or something.
But again, I don't want to get to micromanaging, so like, why don't we put a limit on the time for cleanup and be done and gone? Are you comfortable with that, Mr. Kellner?
Sure.
And what would that time be?
11.
Your employees, everybody's out of the park completely by 11. So the lights are off at 10:30, you're locking the gates, ushering the people out, and at 11 o'clock, all of your employees are out of the park also.
Correct.
Well, then why don't we just say 11 for everybody? Because if game's till 10:30 and the lights go off and they go and they get their final beer, which if it's allowed, and I don't mean that in a negative way, okay, they go get their Gatorade out of their cooler and they go to their car and they take their shoes off and they're talking and nobody cares if they're there till 11 apparently, as long as the field lights are off. So to make it simple, you can still have the plan of operation from 7 till 11.
Field
Meaning
lights
no
off
one's
at
there
10:30.
before 7, nobody's there after 11, that's what he's agreed to. But the field lights are off if there's no game on that field, or at 10:30 at the latest. That might be the simplest way to handle it. Then they all have the half hour to get off the premise. We can write it more complicated, I will, I'll work with you to write it any way you want, but I just heard the petitioner say he can live with that. He's not gonna go stock his shelves at 2 in the morning, just because, whatever the super grocery store,
Can we live with that? Is that acceptable?
I guess, can you live at that time?
7 to 11.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, if it was my property and my operation, and I owned it, and I wanted to be there at 6 AM, I don't want somebody telling me I can't be there at 6 AM. And that's what we're doing, we're telling you there's nobody there except between 7 and 11.
What time does your first ball game start, Tom?
8. They usually get there about 7. If you got teams from Illinois or wherever, they may get there early, because they don't know where, maybe it's their first time here, I don't know. I mean, things do happen.
That's
I see what you're saying.
You know,
And if that works, it works, I guess I agree with Dan on that, I would hate to, he wanted to go in at 4 o'clock and do paperwork there or something like this, but you won't be able to do that.
Okay, but the question, I'm sure question, but at the beginning of the day, or earlier part of the day, you basically routinely lock the gate, if you will, to, not to the parking area, but to the baseball fields themselves? Is that gate
That's-
typically locked?
Yeah.
What about people to the east though, that's not gated or controlled or whatever?
Correct. I mean, I typically get there on a Saturday and Sunday about between 6:30 and 7 o'clock,
Right.
is when I get there.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I get to sleep longer.
I mean, I'm trying to find a way as a practical matter, because I mean, I think what Attorney Basie's saying is, you can put this together, you can live with it. I mean, I'm on board with the rest of you. If somebody wants to come there and start baking cookies or do dishes or something at 5:30 AM in the morning, I could care less.
But that's not what we just said though. We're limiting from 7 to 11.
And I'm not on board with the 7 o'clock.
Because otherwise, like John says, when we start to cut grass at 6 o'clock.
What about clientele from 7 to 11? I mean, I'm never gonna have a delivery from a wholesale house before 7. any clientele, the clientele's hours are 7 to 11. That leaves me free to do dishes at 3 in the morning if I really got the itch. In the building.
Nothing more. Right.
Well, that's what I'm
No,
saying.
he's
that's-
asking,
that's what
he's
he's
asking
asking.
for employees to be on 24 hours a day, and I don't know what clientele is, that's all, every time you complicate it, you have to clarify it.
Users,
The public is, the hours for public operation of that facility is between the hours of 7 AM and 11 PM. And the lights are out at 10:30. Public's
But
gone at
then,
11
if you're
o'clock.
gonna allow employees to be there, you have to write a paragraph saying what the employees can do and can't do other than the hours of 7-11. I'm just telling you that because otherwise it doesn't say they can't cut the lawn.
Fair enough, then maybe it says that the employees cannot operate any machinery in times other than between 7 AM and 11 PM.
Well, and that's what we have condition 10 for. Condition 10 talks about the maintenance. So I don't think we have to complicate condition 3 with maintenance.
So then we need to put 10 back in, is what you're saying, Brian, right? Not even restricting at this point.
And we're just micromanaging again.
I know.
It's too.
So condition 3 could say the hours of operation for the general public are 7 to 11. Next sentence, ball diamond lights are off at 10:30 or when not in use. Next sentence is, employees are allowed access 24 hours. And then you go down to condition 10, and 10 is where you restrict when he can use his zero radius mower and weed whip, because the other 2 machines don't make as much noise.
No machinery between 7, before 7, and nothing after 11. It's clean, it's simple.
Number
Why
10,
not?
if we don't
That's-
restrict it at this point, though, we gotta put it back in, is what he's saying.
Okay, do you wanna put it in at 7:30 and 8, or do you wanna leave it at 7 to 11? And why wouldn't we just leave it number 3? We need a separate line item.
Yes, because you're allowing employees there 24 hours a day. The only ones who are limited in number 3 is the general public,
Fair enough.
whichever, I don't know what that means, but that's fine, you know.
But you said you didn't want to cut grass, it was already making noise, so number 10 is back in there, that takes care of it, right, John?
Yeah, I think that's good, I mean.
I don't want to micromanage either, but I think that's the big.
You're gonna restrict that at number 10, but I think Leonard Barchik's got it right, what you just described. The only thing I would say is the business about it, you mentioned during games, I mean, the lights under no circumstances are on past 10:30. If the games are over, the lights are out, there are no circumstances past 10:30.
And I don't wanna label the machinery, because what if he buys different machinery? We're gonna come back here and say you can or can't use that piece of equipment? Let's just say no machinery gets used.
So number 10 is no machinery for the maintenance of the grounds prior to 7 and later than 11?
No.
Acceptable?
He's trying to link it with condition number 3.
But I think, and I know we don't want to micromanage it, but that allows him to be mowing lawn at 10:30. I don't think we can, I don't think we can allow that.
So you could do 7 to 5 or 7 to 7.
Are you allowed to mow your lawn at 10:30?
My wife does it. I'm not trying to make it complicated, but I think by 10, and what I see in over there, I mean, that field grooming type of thing, I mean, if the wind is blowing a bit in one direction, you could be standing at third base, you can't hear the thing at first base. That's an absolute non-issue. He's got the little thing that you go and blow garbage around a bit or what or not. It makes far less noise than traffic on the highway does. I don't have an issue with that at all. If you're doing that for cleanup, the gate or whatever, but lawnmowers, weed whippers, that type of thing, I don't think we can allow that until 11 o'clock. So that's just my thought. I don't know how you put that into words, but I think the prohibition of use of that after dusk or whatever is absolutely appropriate.
Just change condition number 12, or no, number 10 to talk solely about the mowing of the grounds and be silent on the other equipment. Just restricted to the mowing.
Yeah, the gator, if that's what it's about, I have no problem with that gator running. That's not, you can't label machinery, because that would be included in that. That's not gonna make any noise.
We're gonna look at that?
And are we still doing 7, so we're doing 7 Monday through Friday and then 8 Saturday and Sundays and holidays, or are we just doing 7 across the board?
Seven across the board.
Okay, so 7 to dusk, no mowing.
Okay, read me number 10, please.
The applicant is prohibited from,
Are you typing this, or is
No,
Kathy supposed to be
I
typing
have
it down?
I have it down.
I gotta know what it is, so. I
The
know
applicant
to
is
approve.
prohibited from mowing the grounds prior to 7 AM, Monday through Sunday, and later than dusk. Something to that effect. That's what I heard. Correct?
Yes. Yes,
Can we even ask the audience any questions at this point?
typically not.
Okay. I just didn't know if any of this was actually a real issue previously.
I think this has all been brought up as issues in the past, so.
Okay.
On to number 17. From my perspective, as was pointed out earlier, I was very vocally opposed to this facility from the get-go. However, now that it's completed, it's in operation, I think with some common sense limitations and restrictions that I think we've just talked about this, we need to stop micromanaging a private business and allow him to promote and operate his business. And if he complies with the laws, and it's a legal thing, and consuming alcohol still is, I don't know that, we should be in the business of taking a private business and not allowing them to do that.
A question for Attorney Macy, if I could ask him, hypothetical, if you would for the moment assume that the plan commission that's on board would deem it appropriate to include in the plan of operation the sale of fermented malt beverages, assume for the hypothetical that well, let me back up for a minute. This plan of operation, his first question, that runs with the property owner rather than the property or not? Can you clarify that for me and for the group?
The liquor license?
No, the plan of operation.
Oh, the plan of operation, well, you could write it in either way, but generally it goes with the property. You know, you're issuing it to, I assume, Five Diamond, whatever the, Five Diamonds Inc. is the property owner. So you're issuing it to Five Diamonds Inc. If they sell Five Diamonds Inc. to somebody else, they would have the rights to operate it under this plan of
Okay.
operation.
The liquor license, though, if that were to be issued, that's different, that is not with the property, or is it?
Liquor license is issued to an entity and a location.
So if the property were sold, it's a different owner, it's a different entity, they would have to reapply, or no?
Not necessarily. If Five Diamonds Inc. holds the liquor license and they sell Five Diamonds Inc., and Five Diamonds Inc. continues to operate, they would continue to have the liquor license. You issue it to an entity for a location, and Five Diamonds Inc. could be the entity.
Understand that, but if it's sold and Five Diamonds disappears as an entity, then it's start anew on the liquor license
And the plan of operation.
and the plan of operation.
Yes.
Okay, understand the distinction, thank you. And then the question would be regardless of whether or not in the hypothetical there's a liquor license that's been issued, and regardless of anything that might occur with change of ownerships or whatever, that type of thing, that liquor license is issued for a duration of time. It's in perpetuity. It can be revoked or restricted by the town board in the future. Where does that have to be for cause? I mean, where does that all of that direction head, please?
Okay, you have no right to a liquor license, but once you have a liquor license, you have rights to maintain and keep that liquor license. All liquor licenses expire on June 30th each year, but you have the right to have it renewed as long as you haven't violated, or there's very specific language in section 125.12 of the Wisconsin statutes that gives you the only reasons for non-renewal or revocation or suspension of a liquor license. The Tavern League is very powerful in the state of Wisconsin.
So effectively, maybe it's not the right language, the only way to remove a liquor license would be for some legitimate cause or what or not that's enumerated in the statutes.
That's correct. Once it's granted, you have a right to get it renewed. Great questions, but that's just the status of the law. Thank you. I'd like to go from 1 through 17 and make sure we know what's being approved. 1 and 2, there's no change. 3. Lana, go ahead.
I've got,
Read
I've
the
got-
whole thing.
I didn't do it with the plan of operation. The plan of operation is the issue, correct?
Jamie,
Well, I think we have to strike plan of operation, because we just have to say the hours of operation for use by the general public are Monday to Sunday from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Okay? No field lights may be used if the field is not in use for either baseball/softball. And I'm gonna stop it there unless somebody, because this is egress and cleanup really an issue if they have the lights in the parking lot?
No, I was striking that.
You were striking that.
Yep, and then just putting the employees having access 24 hours.
And then you gotta have no field lights may be on after 10:30 p.m. or,
When the
I'm gonna
field's not
say,
being used.
no, even if the field's being used at 10:35, the lights have to go off. That's what I heard everybody in this room saying.
I guess that was.
So there's a sentence that needs to be added, no field lights may be on after 10:30 p.m. and I'm going to recommend to you or before 7 o'clock a.m. If it's a cloudy, dark day and they're there and wanting to play, I've seen them have to turn the lights on to let people warm up. You don't want them on before 7 a.m., you want to make it clear. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
So we use the word must.
No field lights may be on after 10 p.m. or before 7 a.m. I think that says it very, very clearly. I don't know if we got the tape going, but
10:30.
I'm sorry, 10:30 p.m. or before 7 a.m. That's just consistent with what you're saying, right? I'm not putting words in your mouth, I just want to make sure I'm writing it down right. Is that what you said? Is that the Plan Commission's intent?
It's mine.
Okay, 4 is the same. I'm sorry, 10 employees instead of 6.
It's 10 enough.
He's saying 10 and it doesn't count as umpires, and it's full-time or full-time equivalents. So this is what he's asked for. Most plan commissions give people what they ask for, and you're doing a good job of warning them that if you needed more, you should ask for more.
It's fine.
5, 6, and 7, it's my understanding the plan commission has not discussed and that they're going to be stricken.
We haven't discussed 6, we've discussed 5 and 7.
Does anybody have any inclination to force them to build an indoor facility?
Well, and by the way that the language is written in 6, we're not forcing him, we're just saying that it's allowed if he chooses to.
Apparently he doesn't want to. Correct?
That's correct.
So leave it straight.
5, 6, and 7 is stricken, 8 remains the same, 9 is the same, 10.
I'm sorry,
I have-
we need to back up to number 7. Number 7, I thought we agreed to the language I put in the staff report, saying that he's allowed to do the special events and the fundraisers, subject to notification to the town clerk.
That's correct.
Okay, number 8.
Don't think there's any comment. Number 9, no change. 10, I have, the applicant is prohibited from mowing of the grounds prior to 7 AM and after 11 PM. That's where we ended the discussion. I don't think that's crystal clear, but that's where we are in the discussion, and if you're comfortable with that, that's what I have written down.
No, it
This
was
is after
no
dusk.
mowing from 7 to dusk, Monday through Sunday.
No mowing from 7 to dusk, not no mowing.
Before
Nope.
7.
Before 7, after dusk.
I see.
My apologies, yes.
Okay? You got, everybody's got that one? 11, 12, 13, I don't hear any discussion or any change proposed. 14, I think the chairman stated early on was back in. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
15, 16, no change. 17, the discussion has been that you were going to allow it. And the only question, it's not required by law, but it will help him if you add the condition, no carry-ins are allowed. And the reason I say that is so that he can say, my plan of operation says you can't bring them, go lock it in your trunk. The law doesn't allow it if he's a licensed premise to allow carry-ons anyway, but it would be of assistance to him because he could say, my site plan and plan of operation doesn't allow carry-ins, go lock it up. So it helps him is what I'm recommending. It's not needed, the law doesn't allow carry-ins, you know, for the most part on a licensed premise. But people are confused by it, and this group might try to bring in coolers, and he doesn't want them, correct?
That's correct.
And so it would help him, if you were of a mind to do it, to say no carry-ins are allowed. That's just a suggestion.
Any objection
To 17.
to no carry-ins?
No, but I thought Attorney Macy, you had some additional language you wanted to add to the, it was, and complying with the conditions of the plan of operation in the same?
No, in complying with all conditions of the issuance of the liquor license. We're incorporating any conditions. If, for instance, and I'm not suggesting what the town board's gonna do or not gonna do, if they're gonna say, you can have it, but you can't start before noon, that would be a condition that then would be incorporated into here.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes.
I have a comment on 17. I haven't spoke on this, just asked a couple questions to Tom a while back, but I'm gonna admit that I'm not in favor of having liquor, sorry, Tom, on your premise. I can't vote favorably for that, I guess I know it's a big thing, for you, but I'm not gonna speak in favor for the liquor on that premise, I guess, and if it does pass, that's fine, but if it would, I would definitely recommend that we put up them signs that we spoke about, no carry-ins and things like that. Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
I apologize for my ignorance, but is 17 really necessary to be on this if his permit with the county is still pending?
Well, the reason that it's on here is so that the county understands our intentions. And that this is gonna be the guidelines that he operates under after,
So this is the,
A
1
reason.
through 17 is what he would be going forward with the county?
yes,
Okay.
is not applicable now. It is only after the rezone.
And it
And
wouldn't
that
be
would be
coming
strictly-
back.
What's that?
It wouldn't be coming back. This would, you're approving it tonight, but if the condition, and I think Jamie's probably got it in here, I'll tell you, it's subject to the rezoning being approved by the county, this site plan, this plan of operation goes into effect. So it
So-
wouldn't come back
So
here.
the county approves this is done,
Yeah, that's the intent.
okay?
You can do it otherwise, but I wanna be fair that that's the intent, that if the county approves the rezoning, this is the new plan of operation he would have to live in.
I guess I'm not against 17 for the sake that, you know, we're not approving it as far as, he's gotta come back and ask for a liquor license, and it's gonna go through all this again anyway, so I mean, it's gonna leave the door open, and somebody else can make that decision, but I'm not all crazy about having liquor, all dying in myself, but, you know, we gotta, if this is just a plan, and there's no, we're not giving them a liquor license here, then it's gonna have to come up again another time, so I go along with being in the plan, but after that, it's up to somebody else.
I guess my comments, I would basically be in the same place where, Plan Commissioner Stigler is.
Mr. Miller?
Is that in concurrence with what Attorney Macy just said?
Yes.
That does work, okay.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
Coming down, who's gonna blink first?
Well, it's written on your staff recommendation under number 1 if you're looking for language.
Can I speak?
Yes, absolutely.
Your organization, town, live with the restrictions and with the conditions that have been presented. You understand all the things that have been presented right now?
Yeah,
You can live with those 100%.
yeah.
100%.
Forever.
We're not gonna be back here in 6 months, changing all this again? Say.
No.
Okay. For the record, you gotta speak up.
Yeah, I hear you.
I have a real issue that if we can't live with these, we're gonna have big problems. And we've already had so many comments, and we've been back here so many times. If we can live with this, I'll support it, but if we're not gonna live with it, and we're gonna be talking about issues every other month, let's fix it now before we get to that point. If that's the case, then I'll make a motion to approve the plan of operation as we've reconstructed it tonight.
Any further discussion?
Obviously, I wasn't in favor of the liquor license on that premise. And Bob mentioned that we could, at a later time, as Brian mentioned also, we can vote on this later on. Would I be voting on that, or is this gonna be the town board later on?
Is it town board issue?
Town board issue later on?
Strictly. Town board.
Correct.
Yes, just one real quick question, either of Attorney Macy or Planner Robarczyk, it's really just a procedural type of thing, but assuming that this were to have a recommendation, plan commission, town board, whatever form it is, when it does go to the county as part and parcel to the rezoning request, does the county have the prerogative to make changes to when we've submitted as an approved plan of operation if they see fit or not, or do you know?
Well, technically, the answer is no, but they can make a conditional rezoning. So they can't, in my understanding, and Planner Robarczyk, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have any approval over site plan and plan of operations, they just wanna know what we're approving. But they can, and the concern was that if we didn't give clear guidance, they might make it a conditional rezoning. And they can place reasonable conditions on a rezoning. And so the answer is no, but that's not to say they can't place conditions on a rezoning if they're of a mind to do so.
Thank you for the clarification.
Anything further?
I made this motion and I truly support the town, or I encourage the town board that when it does come time for a liquor license, they do the right things and put the right conditions in place if it were to ever happen.
I guess I'm gonna echo Dan, because I have great concerns with this liquor license. And I don't leave it to town board, you guys, gonna have the power in this one, but you know how I feel. appreciate you listening to my comments, thanks.
Anything further?
Can the chief, and I don't mean to belabor it, but somebody's gonna ask and they're all here, are you saying it shouldn't be or they should place reasonable conditions? The one commissioner's made it very clear, he just thinks it should not be approved. Do you want to expound? You don't have to, but do you want to expound upon it? Are you saying no, or are you saying with reasonable conditions it might be okay, and then give us some thoughts as what those conditions? This is your opportunity, and I don't want to lose that opportunity. You've been very helpful in clarifying a lot of these tonight, so.
I truly do not support alcohol at youth events. I think that's a really poor example to set. It's poor leadership, it's just poor period. I wouldn't expect that at any of my daughter's events, when my daughters were in sports. I truly do not support alcohol at youth events. I understand though that there could be opportunities, and I have seen it at other projects or other organizations have allowed those kind of things when they have special events, or if they have adult programs there and such. Even when there are youth present, they do allow those kind of things. And I think with the proper conditions in the right direction, it's possible, but I really do not support it just for youth events.
Mr. Miller?
I echo pretty much exactly what he said. I mean, if I vote in favor of this, I certainly would be in much more favor of 17 and strict. But it's you five guys at the end.
Anything further? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to discussion and possible action, staff report, non-compliance report. Planner Roy Barczyk, Inspector Montoya, Clerk Nicholas, and Attorney Macy and myself went through the non-compliance report at length recently, and are walking through these things. Some of them are quite old, and we're trying to find solutions to shed issues and so forth. Planner Roy Barczyk, you have anything to add to that?
No, just that I've been instructed to write 3 letters for the sheds that we have still outstanding. And the letters will basically say that the town has decided not to do any type of code modifications at this time to make them compliant or by any means grandfather them, and that they will be given a time frame to either remove the sheds from the property or move them so that they're compliant with the setbacks that are in violation.
Thank you. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.